Hey, Bill. How are you?
Very good. What's on your mind today?
Earlier, you were talking about caring about the country and the division and polarization, right?
Sure.
Given that, and I've brought this up before, why don't you ever have anybody on your show that disagrees with you or sees the world differently?
There's lots of callers. You're one of them. Richard calls.
I'm talking about guests.
I don't really have political guests. I have guests that are community. I have community guests.
You had Bill Najee on for 45 minutes a couple of months ago.
Yeah, well, he has been, but that's my prerogative. I'm the show host. I get to do that.
Well, I get it, and I want to answer your question of why those of us who disagree with you listen, but do you think that Black Crow, since it doesn't offer any programming other than kind of far-right, what I call alt-right, do you think that they're censoring?
No, I don't think it's censoring. I think what sells. How many liberal radio shows are around the country, period? It is not a selling product. It does. People don't advertise. And look, it comes down to at the end of the day, I mean, I love being able to do what I do, but, sponsorship makes things happen. And
you're right.
Sponsors.
You're right. We agree.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah.
We agree. And please, let me get my 5 minutes because you cut me off last couple of times I've called. You're right. The market by itself, we live in a conservative community controlled by conservatives. There's no market for any other voices. So you don't have to have the government censor. Black Crow does it by default. By giving.
I don't call it censoring. I don't consider it censoring. But go ahead.
Well, then all you have to do is push for just minimal programming where a different viewpoint, or make time on your show because you say things at times that just aren't true and they never get corrected.
Yeah, okay. You see, I'm going to push back on that because this is what's happening what happened in the debate. People said, Donald Trump told untold lies, but while Biden, didn't tell any lies, but he did tell lies, and a lot has to do with interpretation. It's not so much a lie as much as it's taken out of context.
Bill, I don't care about the presidential debate. I'm talking about me and you because we're neighbors. I'm talking about things that you regularly say on here or agree with.
What did I say that was an absolute lie? Because if I did, I want to correct that.
Well, number one, you've agreed with callers who said black people were in the Klan and the Ku Klux Klan helped black people.
I didn't say that. I mean, people have then shared their opinion.
What you said is, I didn't know that. You didn't.
I didn't know that. I don't.
And Bill, Richard Marks called last week and corrected you on something. You said you would go back and look at it, and you didn't. You just move along. So the caller that called earlier today is absolutely right. You have a different standard for the callers that agree with you than you do the ones that don't.
And you don't have a difference. I mean, granted, you're not behind a microphone, or maybe you are on a podcast or something, but you don't do the same thing? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Bill, my point is you regularly, and this is the problem with opinion and living in a time where we think everybody's opinion matters. Opinions don't matter. The opinions of people that know what they're talking about matters. Now,
who determines who knows what they're talking about? Who gets to determine that?
For example, when you were going on and on about CRT months and months ago, I called in and I told you what you were saying wasn't true because I teach CRT. And you were not interested at all.
When did I say something about CRT? That's been years ago, but go ahead.
Well, no, my point is just a great example. When you say things about climate change, some of that's just not true. But since you don't make time on your show to have a conversation with folks that actually might know something about these subjects, you just move on to the next opinion.
No, I've listened to people who think they know what they're talking about, and I don't agree with them. I don't agree. I don't think climate change is a problem. I don't think it's an issue.
Well, who have you had on your show that actually is a climate scientist?
Nobody. I mean, I've never had a climate scientist.
Well, and let me just ask you this.
But I've heard many of them, and I don't agree with them.
Bill, what's the difference between climate and weather then?
What do you mean? I mean, you're saying because it's hot that we have a climate crisis?
They're two different things. The climate system isn't weather, and the fact that you don't know the difference in that tells me you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, then please do me a favor. Don't listen then. Honestly, don't listen then.
Well, let me tell you why I listen. Because the stuff you say on here is about people like me. When you say they're infidels all around you, when you say Democrats are socialists, or you agree with your callers, when you disparage folks over and over again, you're talking about people like me. You're putting me at risk. So I listen to your station, number one, to know what people are saying about people like me, but I also want to know about the businesses that support this crap, that is divisive, that creates the polarization.
You're the one that's creating the divisiveness, though. You're the one creating the divisiveness.
No, you do. You don't include any other guests on your show with a different viewpoint. Then you complain about us being divided. You won't break bread with me, and you complain about us being divided.
All right, that's our 5 minutes. Hey, I appreciate the call. I really do. But
sure you do.
That's it. All right. I guess we need to, I am very conservative. I'm a conservative person. I don't believe that climate is a problem. I don't think that, there are lots of people. I think we should be conservative. We should be conservationists. But I don't, I'm not saying that, we've got the earliest Category 5 hurricane in history and it's because of climate crisis. I can't buy into that rhetoric, and that's just me. I mean, yeah, there may be climate scientists who would tell me absolutely different, but I don't see it. I don't believe it. I think it's a rhetoric. I think it's something to create fear among people, period. And I might be proven wrong one day. What was it during COVID? The situation about one particular conservative radio host, and I apologize, I don't remember the name or anything. He was adamant, never going to take the shot. Believed it was wrong. Believed that COVID didn't exist. He died of COVID. I might have, one day take and go, wow, I was really, really wrong. I missed it. And maybe I am. Maybe one day I will come to that conclusion, but that's not who I am. It's not where I am. As far as voices, I don't have political guests. Colonel has come in a couple times, mostly related to things that are going on a global standpoint with military, because that's where his expertise lies. And he has been on a couple of times. But I'm not going to get into an online sitting here debate about whether you're conservative or liberal, and it's just again, we have the calls and we have those conversations, but again, I call me, wrong for doing it, but that's just the way we're going to play it here. At least in my opinion, that's the way I'm going to play it. And yes, opinions do matter because they are important to people. But yeah, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's exactly right. Just because I have an opinion doesn't mean it's right either. But that's kind of what we try to do. 229-241-1059. I got to take some more calls.